But I'm back to do the couscous. Two kinds of couscous. We're using just the regular grain couscous. There's a large couscous that they're little tiny balls. They look like those silver draggies that sometimes we put on cupcakes and things, and they're that large, and it's an Israeli couscous. Most of the time we just find this, and couscous is really easy to make. And all you do is, I have 1 cup of couscous right here. My water is boiling, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of cinnamon, and that's ground cinnamon, the good stuff. Remember, Saigon, great cinnamon. A half a teaspoon of turmeric. Now, turmeric and saffron are sometimes used interchangeably. Both impart beautiful colors, and turmeric doesn't have that much of a flavor. So I'm going to put my half teaspoon of cinnamon, my half teaspoon of turmeric into 1 1/4 cups of boiling water, okay? Then I'm going to put in my 1/4 teaspoon of ground cumin, and then we have just a little bit of salt and a teaspoon of salt. If you want to use less, you can. And I'm going to stir that. Okay, so again, a half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, a half a teaspoon of ground turmeric, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cumin, and anywhere from a half a teaspoon to a whole teaspoon of salt. Then I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of raisins. Golden raisins are fine, dark raisins, currants, if you have dried apricots, whatever you have is fine. And I'll add the raisins just to kind of plump them up. And then I have a tablespoon of butter that's really soft. And I'm going to put that in my boiling water, and I'm going to stir it. Now, if you didn't want to use the butter, because butter is a saturated fat, you could use olive oil or any kind of oil, or you could use a light butter spread or something like that, just for this. Not in baking cookies when you need butter and you want to substitute, but something like this, a tablespoon of, I can't believe it's not butter, or something like that would be fine. Okay, our water is boiling, and I'm going to add my cup of couscous. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover it and let it sit. And that's it. So let me find a cover. And we're going to let that just sit. And now all of our side dishes and entrees are finished. We're going to pull those out of the oven, and we will be right back with this couscous. And again, if you didn't want to use pine nuts, you could also use almonds, whatever you have. And if you don't want nuts, don't use them. You're fine without them. So we'll be right back, and we'll put this whole delicious meal together.